What do we know?
Well, I will tell you this. I was really skeptical that the Boston Celtics were going to go all in on this. And from what I understand, they have. The Celtics and the Heat are the two teams aggressively going after Giannis. I would say they are the finalists. And if Giannis is going to be traded in the next 24 hours, which I think is a good chance of happening, I think it's either going to be to Boston or Miami. The Boston thing is the one. They were very cautious about putting Jaylen Brown in this an official firm offer. I believe they have. Jaylen Brown is on the table, and Jaylen Brown could get traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo in the short-term future.
Hey, so the Boston Celtics crossed the line they never wanted to cross because for years there was one player Boston refused to discuss in trade talks, and that's Jaylen Brown himself. You know, the dude who was like last year's almost MVP, homegrown star, finals MVP, fan favorite, the guy who helped build this era of Celtics basketball. But now, according to multiple reports, Boston has reportedly put Jaylen Brown on the table in pursuit of Giannis. And suddenly, what sounded impossible a few weeks ago is becoming kind of real. Now, this isn't just a trade rumor. This is franchise-defining decision. And the question isn't whether Boston wants Giannis. Of course they want Giannis. The question is whether they want to sacrifice everything they built just to get him. So let's get into it. The story begins in Milwaukee. Giannis has been with the Bucks for over a decade. MVP, champion, face of the franchise, but after another disappointing season, riddled with injuries, the future suddenly became uncertain. Reports indicate that Milwaukee wants clarity on Giannis' future before the NBA draft, and league insiders increasingly believe a trade could happen if an extension isn't agreed upon. And when the top 5 player in the world becomes available, every contender easily picks up the phone. All right? And Boston definitely did that. Now, we got to be honest. The Celtics don't need another good player. They need another force. Jason Tatum is still the centerpiece. But imagine what happens when you pair Jason Tatum with arguably the most physically dominant player in the NBA. Okay? Giannis gives Boston something they have lacked. Rim pressure, interior dominance, elite rebounding, defensive terror. The Celtics have spent years winning with spacing and perimeter skill. You know, all the threes they shoot, you know. Giannis would actually add some, brute force that's well needed. The kind of force that bends an entire defense by himself, and that's why Boston's front office is reportedly willing to entertain conversations that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Because opportunities to acquire people like Giannis almost never happen. And so it's really just one issue. Milwaukee isn't just giving Giannis away, and Boston doesn't have a treasure chest of young stars sitting around. The Bucks want real value, which means one name keeps coming up, Jaylen Brown. According to multiple reports, Boston's offer is believed to center around Brown, along with additional assets and draft compensation. And that's where this gets kind of uncomfortable because Brown isn't some expendable piece. This man just averaged nearly 29 points a game, and he's one of the best two-way wings in basketball. And when Tatum has been unavailable, Brown has proven that he can carry a franchise-level workload. Trading him isn't just, moving a player around. It's ending like a real era of something they really built. And this is where Celtics fans are kind of divided. On one side, it's like, of course, it's Giannis. You don't hesitate. You don't overthink it. You get the superstar and figure everything else out later. And that's how championships are won. But on the other hand, it's like, hold on, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have already proven that they can win together. They built chemistry over the years. They survived playoff failures. They reached the top. But so why break something apart that already works? And honestly, both sides have a point. But if we can look at it from a different scope, right? This year was the first time where Jaylen Brown actually got the chance to be the alpha dog, and he had great success. He was number 2 in the East, And so him wanting his own team does not seem far-fetched, but he just probably don't want to go to Milwaukee. But honestly, because Giannis is the better player, chemistry really matters. Continuity matters, culture matters, and those things aren't guaranteed to survive a blockbuster trade. That's why many inside Boston view this one as one of the most difficult decisions the franchise has faced in years. Now, the part that many people are missing is that Boston wants Giannis, but Milwaukee doesn't have to accept Boston's offer. Reports suggest that the Bucks are not fully sold on simply just building around Jaylen Brown alone. They may want additional players, additional draft picks, or even a multi-team structure that brings them different assets. That's why this situation remains kind of fluid. Boston might be willing to make the move, but Milwaukee has to agree it's the best. But Milwaukee has to agree that it's the best move for them. And right now, that's far from guaranteed. But what makes this rumor different from hundreds of fake trade rumors we heard every summer is the timing and the urgency. You know, people are saying that this might even happen before tomorrow, before the draft, right? And also other teams in the race for Giannis, Miami, okay? Now, when a superstars market starts narrowing, which it seems like it's just coming down to those two teams, things kind of move quickly and people start making moves. You know, the NBA draft is literally tomorrow. Milwaukee wants answers, Boston wants clarity, and Giannis' future may be decided sooner rather than later. Now, here's where we stand. The Celtics reportedly want Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks are listening. Jaylen Brown is a centerpiece of this realistic deal. And one of the biggest trades in recent NBA history just may be approaching. The question isn't whether Giannis would make Boston better, because of course he would. The question is, would Giannis and Tatum together be better than what Boston already has with him and Brown? Because if the Celtics pull this trigger, ain't no going back, and the future of the Eastern Conference could change overnight. What would y'all do? You know what I'm saying? You trading Brown for Giannis? I am, to be honest. I am, pun intended. Or would you keep the core together? Drop it in the comments. Do Season Hoops. We out. Peace.